all about getting out and learning what the outdoors is. Welcome back to the shooting channel, and today I've got 3 budget guns to go through about what to look for within a budget gun. Now, there is hundreds of guns on the market, and generally with all these Turkish manufacturers that come over, the price of starter guns have come down. So you've got ATA, you've got KOFs, you've got Yield It, they've all come down. But you can still pick up a half decent gun for 100, 200, 300, 400 quid. But don't forget, you don't need a huge amount of money to go and enjoy yourself within this sport. You can do it for £500. Once you've got your shotgun certificate, which is £75 for 5 years, then you get your gun, £150, £200, a skeet vest, £50, pair of earphones, 25 quid, set of glasses or 1 glasses, 12 quid. So you can do the whole thing for £500. And most decent shooting schools will give you a have a go or a lesson or something like that. And some of them have been going around for absolutely years. So I've got the Bakel. The Bakel is a bit like, they call it the farmer's friend. It goes on for years. You can pick one of these up for 150 quid, 100 quid, 200 quid, and they just keep on going. They're non-ejector, they're basic, they're the sort of things you throw in the back of a tractor and you take out and shoot a fox or something when you're in the tractor on the local farm. They're a little bit rough and ready, but they're cheap. So if you're looking for a budget gun and you only got 150, 200 quid to spend, the Bakel is really, well, I would say look at the first one, because they may be cheap, they may be a little bit kind of solid, they're rough here, but they keep on going. They're a bit like a Defender. They just do not break. You can even see in here, it's very thin wood. These guns are made in Russia. They do single barrels, but they just keep on going. When you go and buy one, the thing to look for is if they've got cracks around here. So this one's a fairly clean one. It's been lengthened, but if you look around the hand of where the woodwork goes into the metalwork, it's got no cracks. Now, a lot of these sort of guns that have been used and abused have got cracks here, cracks down here. That's the first thing you need to look at. And then if you take the fore end off and you do that, this one doesn't wobble at all. A lot of them, they will wobble, and the barrels, the more they've been shot, they come away from the action, and it's what you called off the face. So again, take the fore end off and just put it like that and just wobble it, and you'll feel whether the barrel has come away from the action. And then the other thing really is just to look at the woodwork. I mean, this one has got no marks on it at all, so whoever had this has looked after it. Even the checkering is still like it was new, because the checkering when these were built tend to be quite rough. And if a lot of people have used that gun, their hands wear the checkering off. So that's something else to look at, is whether this is rough, whether you've got sort of marks around the hand, around the pistol grip, which is where a lot of people with their dirty hands have held the gun there. And the same with the fore end. Again, the checker in there is rough, pretty much like it was when it was new. If a lot of people have used it, they tend to wear that. So that's really the first things to look at. The bluing on here, so this has all got blue in here. If the bluing is worn there, which a lot of old guns do, this one hasn't got any worn, but they can get worn there. So if the bluing is worn, again, that shows you how much use it's had. So that's really the things to look out when you're buying a budget gun. I've also got a Lambert. Now, Lambert in my eyes, was probably one of the best starter guns on the market. Lambert went, it broke probably about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. I don't know why nobody actually bought Lambert back. It helped Yieldits, because Yieldits Lambert went broke and Yieldits jumped straight into that pot. But Lambert are one gun, they were £500 new, but they just keep on going. So Lambert was probably, they took over from the sort of Bakels, that sort of thing, as a good, they made it in Spain, but they were just a good all-round bulletproof gun. They went broke, Yieldits jumped straight in on there. But again, if you look at this Lambert's actually been used quite a lot. A couple of marks on the stock, it's got a few marks here, so it's been used, and you can tell that generally. Bit of worn there, but this is actually quite a good one. So if you look round here, again, it's got no cracks at all. And on the fore end, no cracks. A lot of Lambers, this one is a fixed choke. They do come with multi-chokes and fixed chokes. Generally, if you can find a Lambert with its original box, it will be worth 500 quid, something like that. Most of them, like this fixed choke, is worth about £250, £200, that sort of thing. The other thing to look at on these is if the fore end's been taken on and off, the bet that it will have wear marks here within the bluing. And the same when the barrel's off, if it's been cleaned and looked after, this action will be quite clean. If not, it will have lots of rings on here. So that's something else to look at. The same with round here. Again, this one's been cleaned quite a lot. Someone might have put it into a workshop or a gunsmith to have it serviced. It's got some marks there where the gun has been put together. Again, that's something else to look for. So that's really the Lambert. You can get them with a double trigger or single trigger. But the other thing that you need to think about is not everyone can afford sort of £600, £700, £800 to £1,000 to £1,500 on a gun. So if you just want to start off and you've only got a few £100s to spend, you can pick yourself up. Most good shooting schools will have a lot of decent second-hand stuff like this that's only a couple of £100s. So if you can't afford a shooting, it's got kind of a very expensive image. You don't have to spend that. You can spend a couple of £100 on a gun, 50 quid on a skeet vest, 25 quid on a pair of earphones. So you can get kitted out for £500. So, and most of the decent shooting schools will help you even at that budget as well. Again, gun shops might not have the full range of this budget guns, but shooting schools will have it. Go out and have a shoot with one. There's also one other gun to look at in the budget range. This is a Winchester. Now, again, Browning don't really promote Winchester that much in the UK because in that sort of value guns there's so many on. But this is what an old Winchester. Now the old Winchesters are phenomenal. They just keep on going. They were built in the Browning factory. They were built to last. This one's got a couple of marks on it. Generally a decent Winchester will start at about £500. This one's fixed choke. It's got a couple of marks, got a couple of worn. It has been worn, but it will last. Generally, Winchesters do not hang about. So this is kind of your top end of your budget guns. So that gives you a good range of budget guns from 150 quid up to 500 quid. We'll just have a couple of shots with each one, and I'll just tell you exactly sort of what I feel with each one. So if we start with the Bakel. The Bakel is something that I believe it is what it says on the tin. It does what it says on the tin. It's, if you want something for going bunny bashing, fox shooting, the Bakel's fine. It will be a little bit heavy. It's got no balance, but it will kill a fox. This bakel is actually ejector, pull, pull, there's no recoil systems on it, it's what it is. So one thing I would say, if you get one of these and you go clay shooting, just be wary, get yourself a nice soft cartridge, but for 150 quid, you can't go wrong really. Pull. For bowling over a fox or a rabbit, pull. So that's your bakel, okay? It's what it is. It's what I would call a farmer's gun for rabbit shooting, fox shooting, that sort of thing. But for 150 quid, 200 quid, you ain't really gonna go wrong. Then we've got the Lamba. The Lamba, I would say, if I wanted a gun and I couldn't afford a great deal and I couldn't go to that 500 quid, I'd go for a Lamba. They're one of those guns that I feel, I'm surprised nobody actually bought them when they went broke, because they just keep on going. They're absolutely brilliant little Spanish guns. They don't go wrong. Haven't got a lot of recoil. They're brilliant. Let's see what it shoots like. Pull. 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 The trigger pull's a bit hard on it. You've got to pull it, but you're going up a little bit more, probably £250 you've got to find for something like this. A decent one, a slightly newer one would be probably £400, £500. But generally, that was your Lamba, which is I would say one of my top choices in budget guns. And then you've got the Winchester. Now again, the Winchester, in my eyes, is going up a little bit more. So a new Winchester will be about £1,000 to £1,200. One of these you could pick up for £500 upwards, £500 to £600. But it's something that they've got the quality behind them. Obviously Browning own Winchester, they've got that quality behind them as a budget gun. So I think this is probably your top budget guns of the lot. Pull. Pull. So that's your Winchester. So that's really your budget guns. I've told you what to look for if you go and buy one, what to look at and what to look for when you buy your budget guns. Bearing in mind, these are under £500 guns. So if you look at this and you think, I really want to learn to shoot, but I can't afford it, don't be pushed up to that £600,000, £700,000, £800,000, £1,500. There's always something you can start. You can always start with 150 quid, 200 quid, and then progress up when you've got some money, when you've got some savings. So that's your budget guns. Any comments on this, please comment below and subscribe to, and anything you want to ask, just ask. So any comments on this or anything, if you think, oh, well, I'm in an area, I can't afford really to shoot, have a look at this and just think to yourself, maybe I can afford it. Thank you. Please share to your friends and have a look at what other films we've done. And it's all there to try and encourage you to get into shooting this great sport.